that.
Okay.
Let's instead talk about the President of the United States and what he needs to do. You know, the Sunday Review yesterday actually wrote something that, I'll be honest with you, I've been waiting 4 years for people to admit publicly. And that is that many of the administration's troubles flow from the top. Obama is a lousy manager. This is the worst kept secret in Washington. Every Democratic senator has complained about how he never calls them. He never reaches out. Forget the Republicans. The Democrats say this. We've all heard it. We've heard it for 4 years. We've heard people that have been inside the White House, running the White House, saying it's been a dysfunctional place. How does the president turn that around and actually become an effective manager, become an effective president?
I don't know. I don't know how he turns it around, because...
Is he capable?
I think he is capable, but clearly his nature is to be, for lack of a better phrase, a bit reclusive in his presidency. But there's an emotion...
This Sunday Review article says he is the most isolated president since Richard Nixon. This is the New York Times, not the American Spectator. The New York Times, the most isolated president since Richard Nixon.
Well, he's emotionally isolated, I would think, from a large body of senators and congressmen. There's no doubt about that. But I just want to get back for 1 second to where we were a couple of minutes ago. And I don't want to make this guy Ted Cruz the poster boy for polarization in this country. But I think he's representative of something that's truly tough in terms of politics in this country right now. And it is that Ted Cruz and a lot of other people, both Democrats and Republicans, they confuse narrow slices of their constituency for the country. But when they take the oath of office today, when the President took the oath of office yesterday, when Vice President took the oath of office yesterday, it's for the United States of America. It wasn't for a specific constituency. And I would think on a day like today, the official inauguration of the President, you know, people should start thinking about the country at large. The country is just bumping along.
Yeah.
I mean, the country is in sort of an emotional rut, hoping, wanting to be optimistic. It's almost as if the traffic in Washington, gridlock, total gridlock at 4:30 in the morning, is a metaphor for the politics of this city. Yeah. It's almost as if you have Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell directing traffic, because you can't get through traffic lights. No one wants to move, no one wants to do anything.
And by the way, you brought up Harry Reid's name. Here is a majority leader of the United States Senate that has worked overtime to not produce a budget in over 4 years.
Correct.
1,353 days, 63 days, if my Harry Reid calculator is correct. The Senate, the Democratic Senate, is every bit as dysfunctional as the Republican House. And it seems to me we've got to figure out a way to fix this. And the responsibility lies on both sides of the aisle.
Well, let me toss it back to you with the initial question that you asked me that I could not answer. I don't know even if John Meacham can answer the question that you asked. But if you're President Barack Obama, what sense does it make to invite Senator Ted Cruz down to the White House?
Oh, it makes all the sense in the world. Maybe not Ted Cruz, but you know what? You bring Tom Coburn over. I've seen it. You bring Tom Coburn. You bring Tom Coburn over. You bring Lamar Alexander over. You bring Bob Corker over. You bring over Pat Toomey. You bring one-on-one, and you bring them all together. You bring Joe Manchin over, and guess what? You get Tom Coburn from Oklahoma going to Ted Cruz from Texas. Say, you know what? Maybe we're not going to agree on assault weapons, but how about national registration? And why don't you get on the bill with a Democrat? I'm not talking about him. And again, I don't want to bring up his name again. It's not about him. It's about the fact that he represents what has driven the Republican Party into the ground over the past several years. But no, you do. You have to. John Meacham, and this is the problem with the White House. They have had this attitude. Well, you know what? Because they work against us, we're not going to invite. No! You always start, and every great politician I know always told me, the first place you go, it's also a Godfather thing. You go to your enemies first.
That's right.
And you invite them in.
Invite them in.
You call them in.
That's right.
I would always look for the person at the morning after I won, when everybody in my district wanted to be my friend, my biggest opponent. I picked up the phone and I go, call your mural. who's one of my best friends, and ended up being one of my biggest supporters. He spent my first the first campaign spending a lot of money lying about me. I mean, you've got to get out of your comfort zone, and that is something that this president has not done. But I'm really optimistic he's going to do it this time because his legacy depends on it.
43 years ago today.